What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rants, no hate. So, Frank Warren had an interview, and basically, he said something that I wasn't really shocked about in terms of the news being on the downside as far as him versus Dillian Whyte. I told you guys, I asked the question last week in the video. I said, is this fight really going to happen or not between Fury and Whyte? People, I based it on several things. One, the lack of enthusiasm when this fight is talked about to Tyson Fury or to Frank Warren. Two, Dillian Whyte has been incognito about this fight. You haven't heard anything from Dillian Whyte. Three, the body language. Anytime Tyson Fury fights anyone, he talks shit in a completely different way. I'm going to tear him apart. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to beat him around the ring. I'm going to knock him spark out. Anytime he starts talking about when a name comes up that we've heard he's supposed to fight, I don't train for any particular fighter. I just train to keep in shape, to keep active. I don't care who I fight. They're all bums to me and I'll knock them all out. That's the kind of shit he says. And whenever he says shit like that, he never ends up fighting the person he's supposed to fight. What Frank Warren said was, Dillian Whyte is going through arbitration right now with the WBC for his mandatory spot. The fact of him getting 45-55 split, okay, with Tyson Fury for their fight. He says it's not, their fault. It's not on their end. Dillian Whyte's going through his arbitration. We're not going to wait for him. Tyson Fury will fight someone. It won't be for the WBC belt, though. But he will fight someone. He's not going to wait. This could go all the way on to April or March or April. Okay. He says it's not on their end. But that's pure bullshit as well. Let me tell you how it's bullshit. Now, the rules of the WBC states if you are the interim champion and you're fighting for a championship, you get a 45-55 split. That's in the rules. So apparently, when Dillian Whyte lost to Povetkin, he was no longer the interim champion, even though he beat Povetkin in the rematch. And it's obvious that he's not. Otherwise, it would not be a big deal about him getting a 45-55 split, because Mauricio Suleiman will be going against his own goddamn rules. So at the end, it would be a different a lawsuit against the WBC in a different manner for that situation. So pretty much, it does have something to do with them as well. Tyson Fury says, I'm a Spartan. We don't care about money. Ain't that what he said? So basically, he says the problem, after he said is not, well, he said it before. He said that it's not on their end, but it is on their end as well, because he said in Dillian Whyte's mind he's supposed to be getting a 45-55 split. In their minds, he's supposed to be getting an 80-20 split. He says Mauricio Suleiman, he said the WBC, they feel the same way. They may not be saying it, but they feel the same way. I know this for sure. They know this. Okay. So the only way that would make sense that it is a dispute or some misunderstanding is because he's no longer the interim champion. Okay. But if it's not about money, and I keep telling you guys, you believe that nonsense if you want. Oh, fighters back in the day fought for the love. Bullshit. Every fucking fighter laced them gloves and them boots up is fighting for money. You believe that fighters are putting their lives on the line every time they fight. This is what they do for a living, and you don't think they're doing it for the money? This is their paycheck. If you're fighting for crumbs, it's because you're accepting what they give you because your name just don't ring bells like that. Simple. Every fighter fights for money. Don't be stupid. Tyson Fury, for those of you who love the flavor of his nuts, in the center of his fucking nuts and you up your nostrils, and you think that everything he says is just 100% golden. Well, that's for you to, you can do what you want, but at the end of the day, the guy cares about money. You're not driving fucking Lamborghinis and all these fucking expensive cars with a normal salary, okay? Bottom line, if that was the case, he didn't care about money, he could easily say, nah, I don't care about the 45-55 split. I don't care about the money. I'm a Spartan, right? He could easily say that. Problem solved. 45-55. No, he's not worth 45-55 is what they're telling him. Frank Warren, out of his own mouth, said he really personally feel like Dillian should get less than 80-20. I mean, 90-10 maybe. So, therefore, this fight isn't happening. I told you guys, man. I asked the question. It was more of a rhetorical question when I asked it on the video, and how I titled the video, because it just does not. It's like this. Frank Warren doesn't even sound interested. Look at his facial expression when he mentioned Dillian Whyte versus Fury, and he even asked, well, so if they do straighten this thing out, are they gonna, would you guys be open to fight? Oh, sure, absolutely. He says, listen, we never said Tyson doesn't want to defend the title. We're just saying, and he starts talking about the money situation again. Okay. It's always about money. It's always about money. And also, we do know that they base fights like what is your worth? What's the highest that you've made? But you can't fucking really look at that and say that's concrete, because Tyson Fury doesn't make what Anthony Joshua makes. He said 50-50 or no fight. I guess Frank Warren don't remember that, because we know who the cash cow in the heavyweight division is, or was, but we know who that guy is. That's Anthony Joshua. So if you're going to go by what you made in your last fight, then how the hell can Tyson Fury yell out 50-50 or no fight? And he damn sure said it. And he also, this is the second time when Dillian Whyte's name came up, and he said out of his own mouth the first time, if they force him to fight Dillian Whyte, he will vacate the title. He said, I've already been undisputed. He said, I've already been in WBC. I've been unified. He's like, I'm the lineal champion. Those titles don't mean nothing to me. The belts don't make me. Without the belt, I'm still the best heavyweight. He said all of that. And he said he would have no problem vacating the belt. Now, what's being said is if Dillian Whyte does not agree to their terms, that he'll vacate the title. What do you think those terms are? You think it's about the gloves? The size of the ring? No. It's money. So when I ask that question and people, oh, nah, man, this ain't going to happen. That ain't. Listen, everybody can have their opinion, okay? You can't tell me shit about what's going to happen. Frank Warren don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Oh, Frank Warren don't know what he's talking about, but you do. We may not like what Frank Warren is saying. Okay, we might not like the fact that they're trying to make it seem like, oh, they're all for the fight. Dillian Whyte's the one not cooperating or whatever. No. Now, me personally, it doesn't bother me. I'm just bringing the boxing news. But at the end of the day, all of this favoritism or, opinions about what's going to happen, look, what is going to happen is going to happen. But all these opinions and trying to make the guy you like the most look good, that's not changing the facts. Whether you think Dillian Whyte is going to lose or think he's going to win, it's a fight that should have happened. This generation of fighters, man, these guys are cotton fucking soft when it comes to them making decisions like they want a fight to happen. The bigger fights. And what this is going to do also. Now, in the UK, it might be a big fight because you got two of the top Brits in the heavyweight division fighting. But overall, it's not a good look for Dillian when you look at people looking at the fight like, man, Fury's not even... I even seen that and read that already. Heard people saying, Fury not even interested in fighting Dillian. Dillian's a bum. He ain't shit. Dillian's not a bum. Dillian's a solid fighter. Regardless to whether he wins or loses to Tyson Fury, he's a solid fighter. At the end of the day, though, it looks like it's not even a big deal. We seen the same thing with Pacquiao and Floyd situation. where, and Floyd would say, he's a hell of a fighter, but he's not me. It's only, it's only one Mayweather, which is true. But at the same time, Pacquiao won a 50-50, and he had 3 losses on his record already. Yeah, but he hasn't lost since. Well, Floyd hasn't lost ever. So at that point, Pacquiao felt like, well, until Floyd breaks and bends, nope, I don't need him. Floyd felt like, I don't need him. That fight wound up being a huge, second highest payday. Both of them benefited from that fight. Huge. Far more than if it would have happened years before. But when Pacquiao got knocked up by Marquez, now he can't come with them same bargaining chips talking about 50-50. See, so this is why when it comes to boxing and the so-called rules and regulations, certain people get well, we'll cover this up for you, or we'll let this slide, well, popularity-wise, Pacquiao has a country behind him, so this will be huge. Take another fighter who is a big threat, but not as popular, not the same thing. It's always about money. And you think, like I said in a previous video, you don't think the fighters should try to maximize their dollars? Of course they should. The promoters are not there getting punched in the face and getting in the fucking, hitting the ribs and getting brain damage. It's the fighters. A guy like Floyd who learned how to monopolize is like, I see what these motherfuckers are doing, okay. And once he got himself in position, he said, no, fuck that. I'm my own boss. Y'all not going to tell me what to fucking do, who to fight, when to fight. I put the work in. I built this shit. I put the work in. I've earned my right to say, you know what? I'm going to fight him. No, I don't want to fight him right now. I want to fight him first. No, I want that guy. But you see guys that don't put the work in and they want the same things. This is a situation of, no, you guys are doing me dirty. I mean, I can't stress enough, Dillian Whyte, yeah, I bet you he wish he took that fight against AJ now. Because that money he turned down, they're trying to give him less than that. So, is he going to do the same thing and say, nah, this is a joke and walk away? No, now he's trying to fight to get his, these guys, it gets to a point where they talk all this warrior shit. Some of them get away with it longer because they're still undefeated, but then it gets to a point where some guys, they lose, their popularity didn't grow, and it's like they're the underdogs. Nobody's really pushing for them, and then they try to maximize their dollars. You walk out this sport broke, what you get in it for? Not in British boxing, not in boxing in the US or boxing period. Well, nobody ever say Dillian Whyte's the greatest heavyweight of all times. When you talk about top 50 heavyweights, people are not going to put Dillian Whyte in that shit. So now for Dillian Whyte to understand, these motherfuckers are underpaying me. You thought Eddie Hearn and Joshua was giving you a lowball offer. No. You think that what you're going through right now is not one. You victimized yourself from walking away from that Joshua fight. And then, especially, what if you had to beat Joshua? What if you had to beat him? But then, two, you turn around and now you find yourself in a position where the guy who holds the titles don't want to give you that shot. And the only other person that's out there, and you still can't get a fight with him yet because he's going to fight AJ, which is Usyk. So there'll be no step aside for AJ. Dillian Whyte, he's sitting here going through his shit with the WBC, and Tyson Fury's going to fight somebody, right? So we know whoever he's going to fight, that's not the homecoming that they want for him as far as him just fighting just anybody. He's not going to fight a big threat. Please believe that shit. He's not going to fight a big threat. Like when they say we're going to fight somebody, and plus it won't be for the WBC title. So why in the fuck, he's not going to pick a tough opponent just to fight and no titles on the line. He's not going to do that. So they can camouflage that with the homecoming and say, fuck it, man. We haven't seen Fury in a long time, back home, and it'll be all about him, not his opponent. If they go for that, okay? But at the end of the day, it's not going to be a tough opponent. And then pretty much what will happen is, we don't know how long this arbitration thing is going to go on. Dillian Whyte's, going to be out of commission until this thing goes over. What happens between Usyk and Joshua, in my opinion, what's going to end up happening, the way things are looking, okay? Fury's going to end up fighting someone else, and Frank won't look confident when he says that shit. And whenever that happens, he'll probably wind up around the time somewhere close to Usyk versus AJ rematch. Somewhere after that, you're going to see Undisputed. Whether it be Fury versus AJ or Fury versus Usyk, that's what I believe is going to happen. Somehow, Dillian Whyte ass is going to still be sitting there. Hey, what about me? And if whoever wins between, for whoever wins for Undisputed, if they're gracious enough to say, you know what, Dillian, I see you, let's make it happen, then it can. Otherwise, Dillian Whyte's going to find himself just fighting another fight and pretty much not getting well compensated for it, and still waiting for that big fight. Anyways, never fall in love with love. Blah, 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 blah. I be getting tongue tied when I say that shit sometimes. I'm not editing that shit either, so y'all gonna hear that little blah 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 bullshit. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.